pleasure in introducing former president of the club, prominent member, who's going to talk on Ypres and MENIN GATE, about the First World War, which is rather fascinating, and he's quite a speaker. I'll hand you over to him.
No walking stick.
Hey!
Well done.
Drum roll.
Well, good afternoon, fellows. Good afternoon.
Hello.
The MENIN GATE. Now, has anybody been to the MENIN GATE? No. No. You may recall that I did a talk on Passchendaele, 3rd Ypres, some time ago, last October. And I concluded with the mention of the MENIN GATE, and that I would come back to talk about it if it could be arranged. Well, here we are. I hope to make this talk interesting. I promised to keep well within the time allotment of 35 to 40 minutes, wasn't it? Yeah, all right. The structure we know today as a MENIN GATE is a far cry from its original form as a gateway. And we have to go back to the 13th century to find the first record of the existence of a gateway. On this site, as it led to a path over the natural watercourses and series of earthworks. Now, to the east of Ypres is a water causeway, and earthworks were built to protect the town. This was known as a hangwater gate. Literally, the gate leading to the gallows field. Ypres outgrew the earthworks, and after conflict and destruction it became necessary to construct stone walls as a means of defence against the elements and against warring factors. Originally a wooden gate with a wooden surround in 1395. Hangwater gate was rebuilt in stone. The prosperity and population of Ypres went into decline, and in about 1480 the gate was bricked up. During the 17th century, the gate was reopened and given a new name, Antwerp Gate. Many changes took place over the following decades, including another change of name to the Napoleon Gate. But after the Battle of Waterloo, it was changed again to its current name, MENIN Gate. A quite logical name, as it links Menin Street with the Menin Road, which led on to the town of Menin, some 13 or 15 miles further east. Belgian independence in 1830 meant the ramparts lost their strategic significance, and the gate had become little more than a covered passage, some 20 metres long and 3 metres wide, to facilitate people coming in and out of the town. In 1862 the passage was demolished and replaced with a 13-metre wide causeway across the moat, and as a finishing touch 2 impressive stone lions were placed either side of the road. These lines will be mentioned a little bit later on. So the MENIN Gate, is so famous in World War I, came into being. I'm trying to keep this part of the talk brief, because I could have gone on and on and on, but I think you get the idea of how it all started. Life in Ypres in 1919 was far from normal. Many British troops were there, and considerable power was wielded by a British town major. Civilians were returning to the town, and the mayor and the city council arrived back to resume their respective roles. Added to this mix were the numerous ideas put forward by Belgian central government, the local Ypres council, and representatives from the countries who had sent troops to the salient of what to do. The only item they seemed to agree on was for there to be some form of memorial. Talk of leaving Ypres as it was in the state of complete ruin, to rebuild it as it was before the start of the conflict, to the building of a great marble chapel and sanctuary opposite the Cloth Hall in the Grand Place, and building a modern design new town were discussed in great detail. But when you read the edited minutes of these meetings, it's blindingly obvious they hadn't a clue what to do. it wasn't until April 1921 that all objections and alternative plans were finally disposed of, and plans to build the MENIN GATE Memorial as we know it were finally agreed. From 1862 until they were destroyed during Third Ypres, 2 stone lions erected on 2 metre high pedestals either side of the gate gazed impassively on all those who went before them. Legend has it that in September 1914, local citizens filled the mouths of lions with straw in the belief that the Germans would not enter the town until the lions had eaten their fill. But the Germans were no respect of local folklore, and their cavalry swept through the gate and occupied the city. That date was the only one during the entire conflict that German troops were in the town of Ypres. It was sometime during the Third Ypres that the lions were lost in the massive rubble to which the entire rampart area had been reduced. And we've all seen photographs of that damage. In 1920, they were recovered and taken into the Cloth Hall. Both had suffered serious damage. In 1936, the Australian High Commission asked Ypres Council if they, the council, were prepared to donate the lions to the new Australian War Memorial in Canberra, to which they agreed. They held pride of place at the Canberra Memorial, to which they stand each side of the tomb of the Australian unknown soldier. To move this part of the story forward to 2017, the lions, having been repaired, were loaned back to Ypres to form part of the ceremony to remember Passchendaele, where they remained until November 2017, when they went back to Canberra. Now for some more interesting facts belonging to the nightly playing of the last post. When the original plans for the gate were conceived, no consideration was given to the creation of a daily service of remembrance. The ceremony grew up almost spontaneously from within the local community, a reverent reaction to the massive memorial in their midst. A provisional committee was formed of friends who were able to provide the necessary financial and logistical support for the plan. The buglers, although volunteer members of the local fire brigade, are known as buglers of the Last Post Committee. On the 2nd of July 1928, the first ceremony was held with about 70 spectators under the gate. In 1927, the Last Post had been played sporadically in Ypres and at the gate, but only on special occasions. From now it was hoped it would be a daily event. The buglers took it in turn to play, did so in their work clothes, underlining the fact that this was a spontaneous tribute to the ordinary town people. Controversy raised its ugly head, and a break in the event occurred. The resumption took place on the 1st of May 1929, and since then it has been played under the gate every evening, apart from May 1940 until September 1944. On the 16th of September 1929, Ypres was presented with the 4 silver bugles donated by branches of the British Legion in Belgium. In 1930, the Provisional Committee of the Last Post became formalised and an independent, non-profit making organisation, and this it remains to this day. The inauguration of the MENIN GATE took place on 24th of July 1927, when thousands of British pilgrims joined the citizens of Ypres, and the BBC erected a special transmission hut so that the ceremony could be played live in Great Britain. General Plumer, who I mentioned in the first talk, gave an emotional speech he had learnt by heart, standing on a raised dais. It was then that he made the famous comment that has ever been closely associated with the memorial. He said, pointing to the names, "He is not missing, he is here." Some people believe that the emotion displayed by General Plumer was tinged by he being the general who ordered the strategic withdrawal from Passchendaele in 1917 that cost so many lives. On the 13th of June 1975, the Last Post was played for the 15,000th day. Because this anniversary coincided with the organisation of the legendary TV show Jeux Sans Frontières, it's a knockout, in Ypres, celebrations were held, even though they were fairly low-key. It makes you wonder what the traditionists would have thought would have made of it. During the first weekend in September 1975, 3 anniversaries were remembered. The 60th anniversary of 3rd Ypres, and the 50th of both the inauguration of the gate and the foundation of the last post. In 1983, both the city and the committee emphasised that it was important to avoid the ceremony degenerating into a mere tourist attraction. It was and must remain an act of homage, and one of the recommendations was to discourage any applause at the conclusion of the buglers playing. Anyone who has been there and experienced the haunting, diminishing echo of the playing of the last post will appreciate the emotional and heart-rending conclusion to the proceedings far more than any applause. And you can't describe it. If you've not been, you get a chance, just go and listen to the last post, and then try and remember the diminishing echo. Because the body is so big, it echoes around everywhere, and it is extremely moving. If any organisation wishes to make a speech during special ceremonies, you must ask the prior permission of the organisers. And the speech has to be approved. During the 1980s, the interest of young people in the ceremony began to grow. A number of them saw and still see the last post as a symbol of peace, but the committee did not wholly agree. What there is in Ypres now is there is a cycle path of peace, which the young people of Ypres organised and created. So they got their own way in a degree, in some sort of degree. The ceremony is an act of remembrance for those who died, in particular those who defended Belgium and the city. On the 12th of July 1992, 6 new silver bugles were presented to the committee, and 2 further bugles presented on Anzac Day 1987. 1999 saw the committee formally amend its name to the Last Post Association, but its task remained the same: to ensure that the Last Post continues to be played forever at the MENIN GATE, so that the ceremony can be held at least once in honour of every single soldier who died. Bearing in mind there was 300,000 killed at 3rd Passchendaele alone, there's a lot of future for it to be played to every soldier. All of the Imperial War Grave Commissions, except one, agreed that there should be just one memorial. That is the reason why there are no New Zealand regiment missing named on the gate. They are named on a separate memorial elsewhere, as are the names of the Newfoundland fallen. The MENIN GATE Memorial contains the names of 54,896 officers and men who fell in the salient before the 16th of August 1917, and who have no known grave. If you remember, during my first speech I said that was because we ran out of space. We just didn't have enough room, and the 30,000 other names are at tiny cut ceremony on the wall at the back of the cemetery. By subtracting the number of graves marked known unto God from the known to be missing, you arrive at a total of approximately 42,000 bodies that were never recovered at all. Many were blown to pieces, but many still lie beneath the soil and mud of the Ypres salient. But again, I mentioned this in my first talk. You can go to the cheese factory on Gravenstaffel Road and get a panoramic view of Passchendaele, the church on the top of the hill, the tiny cut cemetery, and that's where these people are. It is believed that a similar number of Germans met the same fate as the British. The future of the ceremony is secure. Whilst attitudes may change about military actions anywhere in the world, attitudes towards the dead of any conflict anywhere in the world are above and beyond respect and will be remembered forever. Whatever the merits of these various opinions, the Last Post has become an integral part of the daily life of Ypres. The melody, which is on some evenings carried by the wind across the entire city, remind both local people and visitors of the terrible sufferings endured by Ypres during the Great War. Without the MENIN GATE and without the last post ceremony, Ypres would be a different and poorer city. Thank you, Brendan. Anybody got any questions? Sorry, yes, Jim.
What sort of accommodation is there around it?
There are many hotels and restaurants. Ypres, if you go onto the Ypres website, well, in fact there are offices, Belgian tourist offices in inland, one down on E14, one on Piccadilly. You get a whole list of hotels. If anybody wants any, I've got a box full of them, of all sizes, shapes, costs.
We'll probably go over there. We'll probably be going over there. We would like to have a look ourselves.
Yeah. Well, I'll speak to you later.
Yes,
I didn't
okay.
bring me box for me, Chris.
No,
I didn't think I would need it, but there we are.
Okay, fine. Thank
One
you.
again. But yes, you can have 5-star hotels. The Ariane Hotel is perhaps is the best known.
The what?
The Ariane.
Yep.
That's the top hotel in Ypres.
Mm.
But there are many restaurants, hotels, bed and breakfast places.
Yeah.
It's geared for the influx of people from all over the world. And when you go there, when you go to the ceremony, you have to get there early because they have tiered seating arrangements for people to sit down. And it's good to see a lot of young children there from all over the world, and they do the grand tour. I mean, you've got Canada, New Zealand, Australia, because they're lost troops. Canada, Vimy Ridge, places like that. So they will do places like that.
Yeah.
And then they've got their own accommodation sorted out. They don't stay in these hotels. They've got hostels and whatever all over the place.
Right.
So it's
Thank you.
it's easy to get accommodation, and if you want some good, because one thing by going so many times, not only have I found the hotel, I've also found the eating places.
That helps.
That helps. But what you will not find, you will not find a McDonald's, you will not find a Pizza Hut, you will not find a Burger King.
Thank goodness for that.
Yes, that's what they all say. But after the ceremony, people go and eat, but then about 10 o'clock the whole place just shuts down. It's quite eerie. The bars close, and everybody goes back to their hotels and gets at it in the bars and the hotels, which can't be a bad thing. But
I can live with that one.
yes, a lot of people do. It's a fascinating place to go to. It's vibrant, it's alive.
Yeah.
But it's
Okay, thank you.
if you get a chance to go to the MENIN GATE, please do.
We intend to.
The buglers, after they're finished, they will stay. You want to get photographs, you'll sign autographs if you want. For some people ask them, but they can get photographs taken. You can go say thank you very much. That's how it is.
Thanks, Ray.
Okay.
There's no other question. May I ask Christian to give the whole thanks, please?
Thank you very much, Ray. Very interesting insight into MENIN GATE. I'm sure all of us who haven't been would love to go and see what you've seen and described to us today. So can we put our hands together, fellow Rotarians, and thank you.
Turn it off, Ray. You saying where that was? Orchard Place, Keith?
Orchard Village, it's called.
Is it not working well?
No, they've got all the cladding is not working, the fire precautions. It works.
260.
Going to be changed. There's foreground works.
Here we are.
A whole series
Oh, I've got
of
it.
problems. Well,
Again,
Again, it's been
local
ages.
authority blamed the developer
Thank you.
and the
Make apologies to it by Monday to Jeff.
a
And
lot
the
of
final
similar
toast.
cladding to what was agreed on.